Okay, Mech Commanders, today's incoming Battletech vlog asks the question, dealing with a higher tech level. We're approaching this from the perspective of you're playing Inner Sphere, kind of standard Inner Sphere, one of the houses, one of the Mech companies, and your opponents are playing or fielding a higher tech level, maybe some experimental tech, some of the more higher end type mechs, maybe some Lost Tech, maybe they're sneaking in some Star League or some Comstar. How do we deal with that? How do we approach that? And while we're focusing on that primarily, this equally applies to the initial clan invasions, where if you're playing that time period in Battletech, the clans are invading, they've got the tech, you've got the Inner Sphere type mechs, and the timeline is not advanced yet where now you're bringing in battle armor or you're refitting mechs with upgraded tech or perhaps fielding some clan mechs of your own, that very initial time period during the invasion. So let's build that checklist, and for that next game you play, let's get that win on the tabletop. That's the focus. And as always, then we're going to turn it over to my fellow Mech Commanders and Mech Warriors for some additional guidance. So the first question, tech level, mechs that you're playing. Within the Inner Sphere, and actually we covered this yesterday, which is what prompted this question, are you playing solid mechs? Are you playing mechs like the Catapult? Are you bringing mechs like the Wolverine or the Griffin or the Jenner, where based on tonnage and battle value, they are solid performers. On a meta level, they're the best that the Inner Sphere has. Now, I'm not saying you have to play those mechs. I'll sometimes play them. I play kind of a mixed bag. I also have certain mechs that, admittedly, from the tech manuals, they're just not very good. They're terabad. They're not very good, but I have a history of playing them. I enjoy playing them, and a few of them, literally the model I've been playing for years. So it's got that living history to it. I don't say that as a judgment because you can play any type of force that you want, but that's my initial question. What mechs are you fielding? And are you trying to field an optimized or more optimized list? If you're not, it's still possible, absolutely, but it's going to make things a little bit harder. Likewise, if you're playing a fully optimized list, it's going to make things a little bit easier. So we've got that swing. The second part, the second question in our tactical list, initiative. Are you winning initiative every time? And are you able to capitalize on how you move with initiative to get side armor or side to stay out of the primary firing arcs of a lot of mechs? And are you able to navigate to rear armor? What I mean by that is not necessarily taking a mobile HQ, but taking enough mass on the table. And this is where we're going to jump into combined arms in order to do this, but also as leading into the next tactica point. We want to be able to move our important mechs when we want to move them, regardless of the initiative scale. So if you're playing against a higher tech level and maybe you're outnumbering them a little bit, right, because they're spending more battle value in theory than you are, although I don't know the composition of the lances. I mean, you could be going in with all assaults and they have the higher tech level and still outnumber you. But initiative is going to be key against the higher tech because we want to make sure that the pieces that we're moving when we need to move them are moving last or after a key mech is moved, and then I can stay out of the firing arc, or as we get closer, work our way around. The easiest way to do that is to inject a little bit of combined arms. Now, no right or wrong way to play Battletech. A lot of players, and I played this for a long time and still do, lances only. In that case, maybe to outnumber if you're just doing mechs, some lower battle value lights. You don't want to take like a totally ineffective lower battle value light mech. This is where some variants possibly come into key. So if we're not going to go combined arms for a moment, and let's say we're going to try and take some really light mechs, lower battle value, just to win on initiative, looking at stuff like the Locust. The Locust variants, where now you start packing on the medium laser and the SRM packs for it. LRM packs. There's an SRM pack variant that I play, the LRM packs. I don't know the designation. I think it's 5N. Don't hold me to that. But there is a designation that has medium laser and 2 LRM packs. This changes the role of the Locust. So now you've got it on the table, and being a light with no armor and good speed, you can be running and gunning and attacking at range. So it does something. I say that because you're going to have to aggressively look at low battle value light mechs where they can still do something on the table, as minimal as it is. They're not just kind of running around doing nothing. That's going to give you some initiative sinks. Now, the easiest way is combined arms. If I was jumping into that straight out, or I had a variety in my collection, because we want to focus on the mechs, I would be looking at low battle value hovers. They're just going to be fast, low battle buy-in. They can get really close and do a lot of damage. They can stay at distance. We've explored this with some of the Hovertech Tactica. Just as there's a variety of mechs, there's a variety of hovers. I find if we're looking and talking on a generic point of view, where it's like, I don't want to do something specific on the table, you want to stay at one of the polarities. You want to either be really long-range hovercraft, LRMs, stuff like that, where you can use the speed to outflank, attack from the rear, just run and gun, or in certain situations, you want to be super jacked up close, a couple of Saladins or short-range missile packs. So this way, the tremendous speed of the hovers, above average for the weight class, can get that rear armor. But taking a couple of hovers is going to massively change the initiative order for you and be able to strike. The second way, which I would recommend either in tandem or instead of hovers, this might require some model investment, is utilizing infantry. You want to settle up the tech levels, some infantry and some air transport, some Karnovs, jumping into fighting vehicles and APCs. You could do that, but now we're getting into full-blown infantry tactica, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've covered that. I've explored that. I've pushed that up to the playlist here on the channel, Battletech. But just taking a couple of stands of infantry and 2 Karnovs, that's going to win initiative massively right there. And against the higher tech levels, you're going to drop those in. You're going to just swarm them with infantry. That adds a significant amount of bite for next to nothing battle value. If you don't want to go full in, you could do jump infantry, and that gets them on the table. That gets them some mobility. That builds in a huge initiative buffer. Absolutely, from that perspective. So looking at combined arms in terms of infantry and hovers. Now, this opens up the door for combined arms, tanks, and other aspects. You might be able to go there if you have it in your collection, or you might eventually get there. But if you haven't jumped into combined arms, besides checking out some of the Tactica here under my Battletech playlist, I want you to be focused. I won't say like go in and buy a bunch of tanks and buy a bunch of infantry and buy some air support. And there is a learning curve to that. We want to win your next game. I want to hear back Mech Command that you were able to take that hill and smash those mechs. So that's why I'm saying if you're jumping into combined arms, infantry and hover is a great first start. That's going to give you that thrust. It's going to help you win initiative. It's going to help support the mechs. It's going to help get some other stuff, just some more dice on the table. Okay, we're going to move to the final piece here, the great equalizer. The great equalizer. Physical attacks. Physical attacks. Get up there and punch away. 1 in 6 chance of a headshot. Kick. I won't say do death from above. We explored death from above, but just punching and kicking. You can have your tech. You can have whatever you want. It comes down to a simple Battletech formula of tonnage. They can punch you. You can punch them. Of course, now this gets into, well, how do we get up there? So obviously, if you've got some really, really slow mechs, they're just going to blast you. You're going to look at the map that you're playing on. It's easier to get up there with city fight, city tech than it is some open grassland or desert type board. I mean, there are a lot of variables. But if you push aggressively and say with combined arms, I'm going to be advancing, I'm going to be moving up, and I intend to get into physical attacks, you might want to look at 1 or 2 machines that are very, very good brawlers, excellent at physical attacks, but at the same time, that's not their only tactica, right? They're able to utilize other things. A perfect example, stock Banshee. It's got the AC. It's got the PPC. Should it have more weapons for its weight class? Maybe, but the idea is that Banshee has some significant bite moving up. It's going to get into close range. It wants to get into assault. Or other mechs that play look at other mechs that want to play at short range and have weapons configurations to not only support that. So if you're at short range, you might as well punch. A perfect example would be the Hunchback. And Hunchy does take a little more heat than maybe it deserves, but I understand that because it's mounting an autocannon 20. We're talking stock Hunchy. You can't let that thing get up there. So yeah, you're going to bring some dice hate on it. Yeah, you're going to try and blow it up. But a Hunchback is a great example because you want to utilize that autocannon 20 and get it point blank range. Now, obviously, once you're in range, you're going to start firing because you could roll legendary and no one wants to eat an autocannon 20 slug. But moving up there, you want to get one hex away. Well, if I'm one hex or if I'm point blank away, then I might as well punch. Now, I'm not utilizing the lasers, but I'm able to fire that autocannon and punch and punch. Another example, although it's a little slow, but these are the things you're going to look in your collection. Something like the Cyclops. It's got some good armor. It's got some long-range stuff. It's got the tonnage for close attacks, and it's got that autocannon 20. So don't discount physical attacks. Don't make that your entire tactica and charge, but have and see mechs that can support a variety of roles that might mount some really, really effective close-in stuff in the left torso, the right torso. I'm trying to think if there's any center torso type mechs. I'm sure there are, but mainly left and right torso, autocannons and other spreads of missiles that they could fire at point blank, and you want to get close, but you've got the right punch, you've got the left punch. Layer that, and you're going to have a much easier approach to dealing with the higher tech. It is a struggle sometimes, absolutely, and some Battletech players, of course, will take the advanced tech outside of the narrative, right? You know, I've got like 5 or 6 lost tech mechs in one lance. Like, no, they would be spread out completely. But, you know, you can play that. There's lots of ways to play Battletech. It is possible. It is doable. Absolutely. But you're going to have to be hyper-focused and go in there with a plan, starting with this Tactica checklist. So I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to turn it over in the comments to see and get some other mechs to explore or some other aspects from other Battletech players, right? Develop that secret weapon. As a mech commander, as a mech warrior, I've learned so much from you guys, just mining the comments, mining the collective experience that I would never get to play because players are all over the world. I'm never going to get to visit everybody. So the comments are just absolutely fantastic. I appreciate them. I know other new players appreciate them. They've done so much to cut down on the learning curve. So we're going to kind of mine those comments. And I'm also going to drop in the info box and pin to the comments a link to Death Ray Designs. They've got a tremendous amount of Battletech tanks. They have, in my opinion, some of the best infantry models and infantry delivery systems. So I'm going to pin that to check that out. So if you don't have infantry, you can jump in with them.